Good evening. Everybody is very welcome to the Lead DCU SU 2024 Candidate Conversations. This evening you'll have an opportunity to hear from all of our candidates who are running for election. These are your students who've put themselves forward to take the lead next year and represent you on campus and nationally. All of our students here today are going to have an opportunity to give you a couple of sentences and a couple of reasons why they believe that they are the best candidates for the job. Next week on Tuesday and Wednesday from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. you will have an opportunity to vote for your preferred candidates through your Loop page. You log on under lead.dcusu.ie and you click into the role of the candidates that you're most interested in voting for, and you put 1, 2, 3 in order of preference, and you click to submit your vote, and it's as simple as that. This evening what you're going to hear from is every candidate that has put themselves forward. Our part-time candidates will have 2 minutes to speak, and then there will be a number of questions that they'll be asked afterwards, and then we'll move on to our full-time candidates where they will have 3 minutes to speak to you, and again they will have 1 minute to answer their questions. So we're swiftly going to kick off and move into the Societies Officer role. We have 2 candidates for Societies Officer. That is Charlotte Iris and Sophie King. Charlotte, unfortunately, hasn't been able to make it this evening, so what we will move directly towards is Sophie. And Sophie will have 2 minutes to speak to you as to why she believes that she would be the best Societies Officer for 2024. So, Sophie, I'll pass over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Todd. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here tonight. My name is Sophie King, and I'm so happy to be running for Societies Officer. It is my opinion that societies are so important to students' life, one of the most important things. Students are so overwhelmed with such big workloads like assignments and tests and, God forbid, like quizzes and stuff. And it's so important to have that escape from that workload with people who can emphasize and, appreciate the pressure that you're under. And societies are also a gateway to opportunities and personal growth. You can learn so many new skills. It's amazing and wonderful people that you'll meet. With student loneliness an all-time high, it's so important to have this safety net of people that can understand your problems. During COVID, we're all still feeling the effects. We're all locked inside for 2 years with no real human interaction. For a lot of students, they're partway through their course and they're only really meeting their course mates now. For a lot of first years, it can be really overwhelming to come into a new school with such an overwhelming amount of students. College courses are so full of people, and they've never experienced this amount of people before. And societies are such a small scale way to meet so many people that have the exact same interests as you. I myself joined so many societies, and it's the first time in my life that I've actually been surrounded by people with the exact same interests that I have, and I've never felt more happy in my life. I've come in from a really small secondary school, and before I came here I was really timid and shy and I wouldn't speak to people, and I've transformed into a person that was brave enough to run for Students' Union because of the societies that I've been a part of. I'm an active member of many societies, and I'm also a committee member. It gives me such an insight into how societies run and how they can really help people, and I'd love to be a part of that, way of making people better themselves. I have so many goals, including making societies open to commuters by encouraging daily events and also online opportunities. I'd also love to spread events over different campuses to give people opportunities to explore the campuses that we're on. We're so lucky to have so many wonderful campuses. So I'd really appreciate your vote, and I'd love to see you around campus and talk to you in the future.
That's great. Thank you, Sophie. Sophie is one of 2 candidates that are running for Societies Officer. What we're now going to pass over is to your MPS student interview panel, who will have a couple of questions. Again, Sophie, you'll be asked a question and you will have 1 minute to answer.
Perfect. Thank you.
So what areas do you think you'd like to improve based on last year's Society Officer?
Well, I think the last year's Society Officer did really well. They obviously got elected in, so they must be doing something right. I'd love to target, people in semester 2. We don't really see a lot of promotion for societies in semester 2, especially for people who are only coming to DCU in semester 2, like overbroad students. They don't really get a sense of the societies that we have here, not in the full way that we see in Freshers Week, and I'd love to really promote that and get more people involved. It would really up membership and make more people feel connected in the school that they're a part of.
And I suppose last year, another key element of the current officers campaign was to target the students that weren't really involved within society life. Would that be a priority for you if you were elected now?
Absolutely. Like, I've seen the great many ways that societies can help people. I think one of the big barriers that stops people from joining is a commute. So I really think that if we were to fix the problems that stop people from joining societies, we could really up our membership and help people feel like they're a part of something. It's a really great way for people to come out of their shells and really like realize who they can be if they would be a part of something, you know? Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thanks, Sophie.
Great. Sophie, you're not done yet. As you had the opportunity to tell students the reasons why they should vote for you, but we did run into a little bit of turbulence. So what we'll have to do is ask you, we'll give you another minute, if you could just highlight maybe some of the core goals and some of the biggest goals that you believe are the most important to society life, and that if you were elected that you do it. So I'll pass you back over for another minute, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So yes, as I said, I'd love to get commuters more involved. A lot of my friends are commuters and they don't really have the opportunity to get very involved. I'd love to take down that barrier, and I am also so open to suggestions. I'm not really much a commuter myself, so I don't really have that experience. So I'd love to hear from people how they would like to fix it. One of my main goals is also to, spread events more evenly throughout campuses. I feel like a lot of stuff is based on glassnet in campus. And we have so many opportunities and so many rooms to share on all the other campuses. We're so lucky that we're in such close connection. St. Pat's is a 10-minute bus ride away from here. All Hallows is a 5-minute walk from St. Pat's. We're in such close proximity. And it would be so amazing to get to explore the other campuses that we have available to ourselves.
Great. Thank you very much, Sophie, and thanks for sharing that. While we move on to our candidates for Humanities and Social Sciences Rep, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the Societies Officer role. So the Societies Officer role on campus acts as a liaison between society life and the Students' Union. So they will help promote extracurricular activities on behalf of the Students' Union and society life, and they'll work really hard on trying to make sure that there's an opportunity for every student on campus to get involved. Again, there are two candidates for Societies Officer, that is Charlotte Iris and Sophie King, and you'll be able to vote next week through the loop from 6 a.m. on Tuesday until 5 p.m. on Wednesday. We're now going to move on to our faculty representative roles. We have 3 candidates for Humanities and Social Sciences faculty rep. That is Sean Green, Vincent Hines and Ash Maloney. Again, each candidate will have 2 minutes to talk to you as to why they believe that they are the best candidate for the job, and then we'll pass it over to the team to ask a couple of questions, and they'll have 1 minute to that. So we'll move swiftly on. We're going to start with Sean Green. Sean, you will have 2 minutes to speak.
Hey everyone, I'm Sean. I'm running for HSS Rep. I'm in my 3rd year of Economics, Politics and Law, where I'm currently on Intra. And that's why I'm dressed like this, the fancy shoes on. If elected, my goals would be to, number 1, increase student engagement. Basically making sure that people know who their rep is, how I'm working to represent them, and what kind of issues or queries they can come to me with. Number 2 would be to increase student awareness of the opportunities and supports offered to them through studying at DCU. So that's kind of the SU, how it works, how they can get involved. And then any supports, kind of financial or otherwise, that are available to students. So things like well-being services, any kind of grants or scholarship opportunities that are available to students as well then. And finally, it would be just to kind of increase the number of opportunities that are offered to students to kind of socialize, to network, and to kind of build their careers as well then. So that means kind of more events on campus, more employers on campus events that are aimed specifically at HSS students. Because I think DCU is actually really good at this. And I think there's plenty of opportunities to meet employers if you're in, say, maybe a law or a business course. But like there's plenty more courses at DCU, and I'd love to see that kind of spread more evenly around the place. But anyway, I'm being told to wrap it up here. They're sick of listening to me. And yeah, if you want to hear more about that, you can catch me on campus over the next week or so, or you can find me on my socials. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Sean. Sean is a third-year EPL student, and now we're going to hear from our next candidate, which is Ash Maloney. Ash, again, you will have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi everyone, my name is Ash Maloney and I study French and German as part of the Applied Language and Translation Studies course, and I'm running to be the next HSS rep. My 3 main policies, they're very easy to remember. Just think ASH for Ash, access, support and honesty. Number 1, access. I just really want to make sure that every student is aware of what's available to them and that it's made easily accessible, and that we can improve online distance learning materials for students. They continue their learning off campus if they can't make it on campus for whatever reason. Number 2, support. Excuse me. I will be working closely with class reps and students, just again to make sure that everyone is aware of what's available to them. I think lots of students have developed a habit, through no fault of their own, of just kind of complaining into a void and in big course group chats, and they don't always know that actually their class rep can help them and faculty rep exists. And also, when I was coming in first year, I didn't know there was such a thing as HSS rep until I was voting for the next one in second year. So I just really want to make sure that every student coming in first year in September knows that they're going to have class reps, and also that those people can discuss it with the HSS rep, and just that these resources exist for students. The third one, H for honesty, consistently communicating with all students and really focusing as well on students across all campuses. HSS is one of the very few faculties that has students on Glasnevin, St. Pat's and All Hallows, and I really want to make sure that the students on Pat's and All Hallows feel like their concerns are being voiced to an equal degree and are being affected as the students here on Glasnevin. That's everything for me. Thank you so much for listening. Just remember to vote ASH, ASH, access, support and honesty. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Ash. Ash is a second-year Applied Language and Translation Studies student. We're now going to pass over to the MPS Student Media panel, who are going to ask each candidate a question. Again, the candidates will have up to 1 minute to answer.
Thank you so much, Sean and Ash, for your speeches. The first question that we have is that some of the issues that were drawn upon last year by the candidates included issues with the timetables and the lack of career support for students within the Humanities and Social Science faculty. Do you think that these issues have been solved, or do you think there is still some work that has to be done?
Well, definitely I think there is some work that's been done to kind of alleviate these issues, but they're definitely still ongoing. So, for example, what was that first one?
Timetabling issues.
The timetabling issues. Like, it is very difficult, I think, just to work around different schedules for different courses, different timetables, and that's just, it's kind of an issue that's very difficult to deal with. But then for the career options, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think there is still some more work to do, and that could be solved by having like a greater number and variety of career fairs on campus, different things like that.
Thank you.
Great question. One thing I've definitely noticed is timetabling. I'm from Kildare. I spent first year commuting. I had a few days where I had 1 hour a day, and it was just so frustrating. I think it's a very complex issue, especially because there's like obviously many students in HSS, and the lecturers are lecturing in other campuses and other faculties. So something I think that could be done is kind of sending out a faculty-wide survey saying, what exactly are your issues? Because I think students sometimes say, timetables. What do you actually mean? Do you mean that you have a day where you have 6 hours in a row and then you have like 2 hours another day? So just kind of making that very clear so we can potentially solve it in a way that is definitely going to improve it. To do with career services, I think that's definitely an issue as well. I think people also aren't necessarily aware of the services. You can speak to Jennifer Kwan. She's fantastic. I've had meetings with her, and also potentially having more career fairs on campus as well.
One question we'd like to ask is that it is the consensus among MPS members that 3-year degrees, especially degrees such as communication, journalism and multimedia, which are very industry and connection based, that they should have a work placement or an Erasmus option. As a humanities and social science rep, what would you do to try to achieve this for students you represent?
Well, that is actually a great concern to have. I think it's really important that students graduate with those kind of industry connections. You know, as someone who's on Intra at the minute, I find it very useful to have that kind of experience. But I think as faculty rep, I would definitely try and maybe campaign for options like that to be added for 3-year degree courses like, say, multimedia, or different courses where they don't have a placement. Just kind of, to see if there's any interest for it in the industry or even from DCU itself as well.
Perfect. Yeah, kind of a similar thing. I do know a lot of in the School of Communications. I think getting into that field is kind of like having to know someone, and then you can find a way into it. So definitely, I'd work with the School of Communications and also the class reps. I know things often improve if students provide solutions, because I went to class rep training in September, and that was a big thing. Things are more inclined to get better if we say, we want to fix this thing, this is how we want to fix it. So I definitely work with class reps and kind of get some ideas from, do you have any specific examples of how we could improve this, or any kind of companies in mind, or how we could introduce Intra or Erasmus? And then if you go forward with exact like ways you can see it being improved, then it's easier for it kind of to get the ball rolling and get things working properly.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you very much to both Sean and Ash, who are running for Humanities and Social Sciences faculty rep. Sean and Ash are one of 3 candidates who are running for the position. The third candidate is Vincent Hines. Vincent is a third-year international relations student who unfortunately couldn't be here this evening, but you will see him across the campus over the next week, and you can get talking to him about why he believes that he may be the best person for the role. We're now going to move on to the position of Societies Officer. There are 2 candidates for Societies Officer, Charlotte Iris and Sophie King. Sophie is going to have 2 minutes to speak and tell us why she believes that she's the best person for the role, and there will be questions afterwards then that Sophie will have an opportunity to answer to. So Sophie, whenever you're 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Pod. So, hi everybody, I'm so excited to be here tonight. My name is Sophie and I'm so happy to be running for Societies Officer. I know that societies are so important in a student's life. It's a great way to escape from your workload with people who can understand and empathise with the pressures you're under. My main concerns for societies in the future is that there's a great many barriers that stop students from joining societies. That can include commuters who can't afford the time lost in their commute to go to events. This leaves them very lonely, and in a time when student loneliness is at an all-time high, it's so important to be able to let everyone feel like they can join societies. I'd love to be able to put an end to commuters not feeling like they can join societies by, embracing daily events during the day when students are on campus anyways, or an online alternative. It might not be the best way, but it's a way for people to feel involved and feel connected to the other people of the societies. I'd also love to start spreading events over different campuses. We have so many wonderful campuses. They're all really well connected by buses and by small walks. It'd be so great for everyone to get to, explore the different campuses that we have at our own availability. And by putting events on different campuses, that would be a great way. I'd also love to start promoting societies more in semester 2, especially for students who only join us for 1 semester, particularly in semester 2. Broad students who only come for 1 semester. They don't really get the full extent of society fairs the way that we do in Freshers Week. They don't know how to join a society or what ones to join. And I think a new and improved societies fair and clubs fair in semester 2 would be a great way to get more people involved and get more memberships and, get people feeling connected to the people that they're going to school with. It would be a great way for people to, feel more at home where they are. And I'd love to get everyone else's opinions. I'll be around campus. I'd love to see how we can help you and how I can make a change. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Sophie is a first-year communications student. She is one of two candidates running for the role of Societies Officer. The second candidate is Charlotte Ayres, who unfortunately couldn't make it here this evening. But again, you will have an opportunity to meet Charlotte over the next week to learn a little bit more why she believes that she would be the best person for the role. We're now going to move on to the position of faculty representative for DCU Business School. We have three candidates for the Business School faculty rep. That is Ashita Gupta, Rory Mulhern, and Sadhana Sambandam. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to speak, and afterwards we pass over to the MPS student media panel, who will ask them a couple of questions where they will have 1 minute to speak. So Ashita, we're going to move over to you straight away, and then you'll be given 2 minutes to speak. All right?
Perfect. I'd like to start by apologizing if I don't make sense. Like a business student moment, I did only get 1 hour of sleep in the last 48 hours. Intro moments as well. But I just want to say that I'm really excited to run for this position. Business has been my life. I've been into it, like I have a family business. I've studied business for the last, I think, 11 years now. It's probably my favorite subject, and it's something close to me because my parents wanted me to be a doctor. Oh well. But I see the struggles that business students go through, and that's what my points are going to be about. I want to make intro less stressful for everyone. We have a peer mentoring program here that works great for first years, and I want to bring that on for second years to help fourth years of second years with their intro placements, because they've been through the process and second years are just about to start it. I also want to help international master's students get the support they need once they finish their degrees in Ireland with full employment at its peak. We need some support for these students to get the jobs they need. Some of these people come with lots of work experience, and graduate roles just aren't for them. So helping them find the support they need is something that's very important. And finally, I'd like to bringing back the basics of business. I want to create a channel that helps you with the basics of business, stuff like how to use Adobe. It's not always shown in classes because we just don't have the time for it, or sometimes the resources. But I have to wrap up now and pass on to Sadhana, so please vote for me, or Sadhana, I love her too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ashita. We will now move on to our other candidate, Sadhana, who will also have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you so much. So hello everyone. I'm here before you with a vision to collaborate for a collaborative community within the DCU Business School. My name is Sadhana, and I'm seeking your support as your business faculty rep for the next upcoming academic year. I'm in third year international business. I'm on Erasmus myself, so I had quite a commute to come down here. And I've been class rep for the last 2 years. I've been part of societies and clubs such as Speakeasy and Enactus with Ishita, so it's wild that we're competing together. But I have 3 main objectives that I would like to bring up. So the first is to strengthen communication. The second is career development and support. The third is Erasmus and interest support. I have a few others, such as supporting class reps in CRCs, having networking events for students, and promoting the various tools and services here at DCU that we need to utilize more and more people need to know about. So for the first goal, to strengthen communication, I would like to host meetings between the faculty and class representatives on a more regular basis. I want to boost communication, modernize our learnings, and enhance our education. The business analytics specialism was only added on in the last year to the business school. This is something I want to work on even further. The working world is changing, and our learning needs to reflect that. Next, for career development. One crucial aspect of our university journey is foresight. I would like to collaborate with and promote with the Career Centre to get CVs, LinkedIn profiles, intra-prep, all sorts of support for you. I'd also like to collaborate with industry experts and help them see what's available for you. Your career is so important, and you need to see how to get there too. Lastly, for Erasmus and interest supports, these are thrilling opportunities by the business school, but we need more support, we need more attention. So I would like to propose that course coordinators check in once a year for these year groups that are gone away. Along with that, I would like a peer mentoring workshop available for students who are about to go on their Erasmus or their intra. So with that, I'd like to say thank you so much for the opportunity, and of course, vote for me for business faculty rep for next year, or Ashita, like she said. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Stana and Ashita. We now pass over to the MPS Student Media panel for a couple of questions.
Hi guys, so I would just like to ask, do you think that there's enough events within the business faculty, and is there any events that you would add to the calendar?
Do you want to start? Yeah, sure. I think there are loads of events that are run by the business faculty. The issue is the communication. Most of these events go through our emails and inboxes, and if you're someone like me, you'll check your inbox every single day, but if you're on intro, you're not checking that once. But for people that don't check their inbox at all, they miss these opportunities so often, and these events just go by with very minimal attendance, and just something that, like, it's just something that needs to be improved overall. There needs to be new ways of communicating between students and the business school. An event that I would love to have is probably something about networking, because it's so important to business students to network, but we're not really taught it. We're taught stuff that's related to our degree, but we're never taught how to use it. Yeah.
Absolutely perfect there. And I agree, we do need more networking events, and there is a lot that Rose, as our business faculty rep, is doing, but there can be a lot more done. Something I'm really passionate about is modernizing our learning. You know, you're going on Intra, we're going on Erasmus, and we see the different skills that other universities are providing for us, and the businesses that we work with, what they're utilizing in the real working world. And our education should really reflect on that. So the workshops that we can hold, the people that we can bring in, these are all at our fingertips, and we've worked on these projects. So we know what can be done, and we know how to do them, and we're ready to do it.
So, last year's campaigns, they really centred around updating the Intra portal. What would you like to do to make Intra more easy and accessible to students in the business faculty?
Do you want to start or will I go? You can. Okay. Well, I think the Intra portal just needs a fresh start. Honestly, we need to go back to scratch and start again with it, because there's so many issues with it, and it's across all the courses. It's not just the business faculty. It's something that we should work with the VP of Academic Life with, and just to restart, because we have so many students that are so talented with societies like Red Brick who work on websites specifically like this for other societies, and for this DCU CNS. They can do this for this as well, and I'm sure they'd be more than willing to. As a member of Red Brick, I can't confirm or deny this, but I hope they would be. But yeah, it's just a matter of starting fresh, because I don't think improving one aspect slowly is what's going to fix it.
I think you said that perfectly, starting fresh. I don't have the opportunity for Intra in my course. However, have I heard complaints? 100%. I do think starting fresh is the best way we can do it. There's so many people in our campus that want to help. We have such a brilliant community, and they have brilliant skills for building websites. Reach out to students, see what they need, and obviously as faculty reps, we're going to do that, and we're going to make a better website, honestly. That's it.
Perfect, thank you so much.
That's it, thank you.
Great. Thanks to both Sadhana and Ashita for talking to you this evening. They're two of our three candidates for Business School Faculty Rep. The third candidate is Rory Mulhern, who unfortunately couldn't make it this evening because he's actually on Intra, which we know is a core component of the business school curriculum. We're now going to move on to the Science and Health Faculty Representative role. We have one candidate for Science and Health Faculty Rep, and that is Alex Candon. Again, Alex will be given 2 minutes to speak before the MPS Student Media panel will then ask him a couple of questions. So Alex, we'll pass over to you whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Podge. Hi, my name is Alex Candon, and I'm a current second year BHS student in the Science and Health faculty. I stand before you today not just as a candidate, but as a passionate advocate for your voices, your welfare, and your overall university experience. Over the past 2 years, I've been a passionate class rep, working with lecturers, students, and faculty members across the board in trying to create an environment of more open communication with students. This journey has earned me your trust, and I want to take this trust to new heights. And I would love for you to vote for me as your Science and Health Faculty Rep. Innovation is at the core of my approach to student welfare. My involvement in the Irish National Student Development Programme has allowed me to further reflect on a commitment of involving the overall student experience in everything that I would like to enact in DCU. Our journey together doesn't end here. As soon as I'm voted in, I would love to envision a community where the communication thrives across the board. As the Science and Health faculty is known for being quite a dense, knowledge-based faculty, I would love to increase communication with both lecturers and students in a way that involves students' desires and needs for the outside world, especially when we move on to bigger things after college. I'm committed to empowering your mental well-being as a faculty that is so time-consuming and stressing on our lives. I would love to promote mental well-being across students. I work tirelessly with committees to try and engage students in a way that promotes their mental well-being as well. So thank you so much for listening to me, and I really hope you vote for me as your Science and Health Faculty Rep. Thank you. Alex out.
Great, thanks so much, Alex. Now we're going to go straight over to the MPS Student Media panel with a couple of questions for Alex.
Hi Alex, you mentioned you would focus on the mental health of students in your faculty. What specifically would you look to implement to help students' mental health?
Well, I'm a current second year now, so it wasn't too long ago where there was first year initiatives that were going on to try and help people get immersed in the whole faculty. So I'd love to try and bring them back for all sorts of years, anywhere from second year to fourth year of that degree, all the way up to postgrad, and be able to immerse students in the university lifestyle. We see in America and places like that where it's a lot more communication based, and I'd love to see that in DCU and the likes.
Perfect. And you were actually a last minute candidate for this role. Why did you feel it was important for you to step up and go for this role?
I felt the necessity more than anything. I fear that students in my faculty are one of the busiest in the whole university, and I feel that it's something that needs to be done. We need to have a faculty rep to be able to listen to students' voices and listen to their concerns. My class is only a class of 50, and the amount of concerns that seem to come out of it daily speaks volumes. And we have some of the biggest nursing courses with 300, 400 students per lecture hall. So I think if those voices aren't listened to, let's say a class rep is going sideways with assignments, they need to have a bigger voice. They need to have people that are able to listen to them, listen to their concerns in a way that is not just them ranting, but they know that it's being enacted to be put into something more constructive.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Alex. That is all the questions that we have for Alex. Alex is the only candidate who is running for the Science and Health Faculty Rep, but next Tuesday when you vote on Loop, you will have two options on the ballot paper. You will see Alex Candon's name and you will see reopen nominations, where we give you the option to make your preference as to whether you would like to vote for Alex or you would like to reopen nominations. We're now going to move on to the Engineering and Computing Faculty Rep. We have three candidates for Engineering and Computing. That is Afuo Adu, Aaron Langrell and Robert Maloney. Each candidate again will be given up to 2 minutes to speak, and they'll be asked questions afterwards. So we're going to move straight over to Afuo, who will have 2 minutes to speak whenever you're ready.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ifwa, and I am a third-year electronic and computer engineering student. I would like to be faculty rep because I'm resilient, hardworking, and I love to help people. Being the only girl in my class, I do feel like it has given me more courage to step up to this role. I have been student ambassador, a peer mentor for 2 years, and an events manager. All these roles have taught me that true leadership means uplifting others along the way. The first thing I'm gonna do when I'm given this role is to fix the faculty's water distillations, in a sense that I would provide water inside the faculties, because at the moment it's very difficult to find drinking water within the faculty. So the aim of this initiative is to prevent students from leaving the campus or the engineering and computing buildings to find clean water. The second thing I would do is to help students to acquire more scholarships and internships. As a student who has received the Generation Google Scholarship 2 years in a row, I believe that when I'm given this opportunity, I can help students to achieve the scholarships that I have achieved because I love to help people. Secondly, the Huawei Seeds for the Future Scholarship, Dell STEM Aspire, all these are different internships and scholarship opportunities I have achieved. There are some scholarships I have failed at. Therefore, I can help students to apply for these. So I can help students to apply for these and help them. Another thing I would do when I'm given this role is to also encourage students during exams, because engineering and computing is a very challenging subject to deal with. So I'll make sure that there is room for the way certain questions are being answered, and people will be able to access questions and answer them adequately during exams. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Efwa. We will now move over to Robert Maloney, who will also have 2 minutes to speak.
Hello, I'm Robert Maloney. I'm a third-year computing for business student coming straight from Intra, hence being dressed like 50 Shades of Tan. So as a computing for business student, I find myself kind of sandwiched between two roles of the computer science and data science. With computing and engineering, you can find that it's an awfully introverted course. Not a lot of people enjoy socializing with each other. It can be tough to get out of your shell. So as faculty rep, I would like to instill more socializing, more events to get to know your fellow engineering and computing reps, as well as there being a general divide between engineering and computing. Albeit there's only 10 of us, we're not an awfully large group of DCU as a whole. We don't often have time to communicate with each other. So one of my main goals would be to build connections between the two halves of this faculty. Another goal of mine would be to instill more connections between the year you are in as well as the year ahead or the year prior. I think that with the amount of resources, with the amount of code repositories, GitHub, LinkedIn, there are so many resources that remain unutilized for people that are just young and they don't know what they're doing and they're looking for interplaces. They don't know what this company does. They don't know what this role means. They don't know what they'll have to learn, what they have to know. I think that if given the chance, they'd love to ask questions to their peer groups so they can remain a little more informed. Another goal of mine, computing for business means we have time to mingle with something like the with the business faculty, meet loads of new people, maybe get more internships on that side of things as well. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Great, thank you, Robert. We will now pass over to the MPS Student Media Panel to ask each candidate a couple of questions.
Thank you both very much for speaking. I'd like to ask you, what are your plans to encourage companies to come in and offer internships to students?
First of all, my plan is to speak to the company I'll be working with and encourage them to provide mentorship programs. Because in second year, I was part of a mentorship program that encouraged employers to speak to other students in DCU and encouraged us. So my plan is to allow the alumni of DCU themselves to mentor more students, not just second year students, from first year, second year, third year, all the way to fourth year. So when they mentor students, they may in turn help them get internships in their respective companies. Thank you.
I think it'll be important to tell the students of engineering computing that there is more than just the intro portal, which is awfully designed as is and very just confusing and easy to get lost in. That they can go outside. At the moment I'm on Intra. I have friends who are on Intra. I would encourage them to put me in contact with their mentors, their coaches, their managers, see if there's anything we can do, maybe start some workshops, maybe start interviewing sessions, fix up your CVs and such, so they know what's attractive to employees of engineering and computing.
Thank you very much. I suppose I have a question. In terms of early starts, late finishes, minimal reading weeks, and an ever increasing and stressful workload, what supports are there in place for students, and what can you do to help them as representatives?
I was the events manager for the Engineering Society. So in the Engineering Society, we usually meet other students from different year groups. So if students are struggling with different types of workload, we could help. So when I become a faculty rep, hopefully, I would bridge the gap between the different engineering and computing societies. For example, Space and Robotics Society and Engineering Society. I'll encourage them to help other students, whether or not they're part of these societies, to help them. And also, I'm also an event manager whereby I work with Science Foundation Island, and I presented a show for students in even different universities. So in case if students are struggling with what is being taught in class, I will provide different workshops for students to meet with others, even in other universities and in DCU, and to have mixers and enjoy having college, and just to know that engineering is just such a great course to study no matter its difficulty.
So yeah, similar enough, I'm quite close with a lot of members of the Red Brick Society, which, as mentioned before, it includes a lot of computing and engineering students. I would encourage them to start more workshops, to involve more people, to maybe campus a little more, just to spread more awareness. Just I would get in contact with the business faculty representative, because companies like Accenture and PwC, they're often hiring IT specialists and the likes. They could really use a digital know-how to bring these older businesses out of the dark age to just encourage themselves. So I'd encourage companies that aren't so IT focused to come along and see what DCU Engineering and Computing has to offer.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. That is all you're going to hear from our two engineering and computing faculty reps this evening. They're two of three candidates. Our third candidate, Aaron Langrell, couldn't make it this evening, but again, you'll have an opportunity on campus over the next week to talk to him about why he thinks he may be the best person for engineering and computing faculty rep. We're about to move on to our full-time officers, where all students can vote. So the difference between these roles versus the faculty representative roles is that you can only vote for candidates who are in your faculty. So for example, in science and health, only science and health students can vote for that faculty rep. In our full-time officer positions, every single DCU student, full-time, part-time, undergrad, postgrad, is eligible to vote on loop next Tuesday. We're going to move on to our vice presidents for community and citizenship. We have two candidates running for vice president of community and citizenship. That is Cormac Doherty and Brandon Perry. Cormac, we're going to start with you. You will have 2 minutes to speak whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm a final year EPL student, and I like to think that I've been involved in the community of DCU for the last 3.5 years, being nice to myself. So first we have to look at what is community and what is citizenship. I think DCU itself is one big community, and one thing we need to do is to make sure that all students benefit from their student union and get the most out of it. Like just the other day, I was walking through the U and I saw a huge line for the microwaves going all the way into Londis to the salad bar, and we just need more microwaves. It's a simple fact, and it just hasn't been done for a while. But also a key priority, in fact the number one priority for me, and I think anyone who's ever been in the library at exam time knows this pain, there's not enough sockets on campus. If your laptop is running low on charge and you have more than 2 lectures in a row, you run the risk of either having your laptop off for half the lecture or having it on low power for the whole lecture. We need to make sure and prioritize that in more of our lecture halls we have the sockets, and in our library we have the sockets available. So those are some key priorities for me. And a key point that I'd like to make is what's often forgotten about are the St. Pat students, who are just as much part of the DCU community as the Glasnevin students. And we need to make sure that the next SU has a priority towards these students. Now, moving on to citizenship. What does it mean to be a good citizen? I think a key part of that is involvement, both in society life and club life and charity work. And I'd like to work with an SU that is depoliticized, doesn't have any preferences, and focuses entirely on the student experience. How we can do that is ensuring an educated student body, such as restoring the Financial Times subscription, which was dropped unnecessarily, and supporting other charity initiatives such as the Pantry. And a key problem that hasn't really been addressed is the College View this year, which is supposed to be the university newspaper, has gone without a website for too long. We need to help them get it back up and running and ensure that it's emailed to students so that they can read what their fellow students are working on and the student life. And I think that's it. Have I gone over time?
No.
Oh, thanks. I'll keep going then. A key priority for another one for me is anyone who's been on a night out and lives on campus in DCU knows the problem of getting back home. We don't have a 24-hour bus, and we should use the chance of them redeveloping the bus networks at the moment to ensure we get one. The 155 is being replaced in a few weeks, I think. It connects DCU, Trinity, and UCD. It's perfect for a 24-hour bus service, and it's a surprise that it hasn't been done so. The student union should be campaigning for this. And another thing I'd like to do, if it's not too late, is ensuring that every club and society is with a functioning bank account. Since COVID, most clubs and societies have lost access to their society bank accounts. We need to ensure, by having the clubs and societies work together with the Clubs and Socks office and the student union to get a bank account set up for every society that they have access to. Because for too long, I've had this experience trying to set a bank account up for a few societies myself. You fill out all the forms, you get them signed, you drop them off, and then you're ignored by the bank. And it's only by working together that we can solve this. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Cormac. Brandon, we now pass over to you, and you will have the equal amount of time to speak.
Oh yeah, my name's Brandon. I'm a Master's in Political Communication student. I did 3 years of my undergrad in Media and Politics here. And you also may remember me as the fellow that ran against Todd and lost president last year. Yeah, so I've been heavily involved in DCU in a variety of ways during my time here, from societies to student politics. I'm currently a class rep, as I have been for a few years. I'm serving on the USI Campaign Strategy Subcommittee, so I've been heavily involved in kind of lobbying and protest organisation there, particularly with regards to transport. So we'll get on to, that's enough about me, we'll get on to my policies now. First major thing is affordability. I'd like to see the student union and Clubs and Socks maintain affordable prices for events, everything that for membership and what have you. I think it's key that as many students as possible have access to as much as possible. Student union should not be run for profit. It should be run for the benefit of students regardless. Moving on to that, I also want to improve on transparency. So I'd like more communication between students' union and ordinary students on decision-making processes, which it's even something as simple. I remember we did it like once at the end of last year, that they just had Instagram stories of here's what Todd's done this week, here's what Owen's done, something like that. So just to give ordinary students an idea of what's going on, the decision-making process, which leads into I'd sooner it be more proactive, that we give students information before decisions are made by students' union, consult with them. I'd like more kind of accountability and transparency and democracy. Moving on to accountability, I'd like to introduce a system similar to the Rate My Elective they have in Trinity, where you can publicly provide feedback to your SU officers. You can maybe not have ratings so much, but so I prefer that you have kind of feedback and you get a kind of gauge of issues at hand and that it's accessible to all students. I'd like to kind of expand upon community, because it's community and citizenship. I'd like to expand us beyond the community in DCU. It's more than just an island. I'd like to expand into local community groups around the area, have affairs similar to Clubs and Socks for our community groups, trade unions, tenants unions. I'd like to establish a tenants union for students in accommodation because they need more rights. That's a key issue. Like we've seen in the news, more vulture funds on accommodation than universities. I'd like training from trade unions on workers' rights for students going on placement so they know what they need. I'd also like to kind of just generally engage more with local politics and lobby. Like Cormac mentioned about the buses, that was a similar policy I had and I wish he hadn't said it first. But like we have local elections coming up, general election will be next year. I'd like to see us lobby more, take advantage of our political position, our power. I'd like to see just more involvement in the local community because DCU is not an island. I want students to know there's more out there for them, and I'd like the local community to know that we can give back to them as well. Just generally, those are my policies: affordability, accountability, transparency, greater community spirit, more engagement with ordinary students, more proactively, get them more involved in decision making. I'm also kind of got through my points quick enough. Yeah, so vote for me. I can just rattle off about what I've been involved with as well, with RAG, MPS, politics, BDS, boxing club.
Great. Thanks so much, Brandon. We're now going to move over to the MPS Student Media Panel to ask a couple of questions to our candidates.
Well, thank you so much to Brandon and Cormac. So thank you so much. They were some excellent points. I have a question about accessibility to different campuses. As I know, there's a big group of us who are between 2 or even 3 campuses. Is there a way that you would connect the campuses better, be it a physical or a more spiritual link?
Well, I think there's a few ways we can do it. We should always support public transport where possible. So I think a key way to do that would be more regular services of the 13 and 11 which connect Pats and Glasnevin. Another way would be to support the local authorities in developing cycle lanes and ensuring that they're wide enough for people to actually drive on, that you don't have people parking on them, so you have to go back off onto the road or onto the normal pavement where there could be people. And I think so you need to support public transport and alternative forms of travel. And I think that's the best way to do it. And in terms of a less physical connection, I'd say encourage more joint events, like more social events on both campuses, not just in Newbar, first of all, and maybe in Kennedy's or a closer pub to St. Pat's. Thanks.
Yeah, again, kind of similar points. We have great public transport links at the minute between the 2 campuses, so there's no reason we shouldn't be more interconnected. I'd like to see clubs and societies, where possible, holding at least 1 event down in Pat's per semester. I think the SU should hold more events down there. They're getting good this year on that. I'd like to see just generally more engagement, interfaculty, intercampus, what have you, just a more unified sense across the board. Just kind of singular community in DCU. So I'm just going to use the example because MPS are here. MPS had their first event ever down in Pat's. I think that's a great move forward. We need to be doing more stuff like that. We need to have as many people going down between the 2 campuses. Obviously, the Humanities department is spread across both, so there's students used to going back and forth, but most students are on 1 and 1 only. So I'd like to just kind of see remedy in what we can do on the social side, bring stuff down to Pat's, and because we already have enough Pat's students coming up to class now.
So, sorry, excuse me. So considering this is an election, and with the upcoming election about a woman's place in the home and the Constitution, how do you plan to encourage students not only to be involved, but to be excited and happy to get involved in elections both inside and outside of college?
Well, I think a key point of that is making sure they can actually vote in the first place. So voting registration, it's a fast process, a lot faster than it used to be. But they've changed the requirements. You now need to file your PPS number as well when you're registering to vote, and some people might not have that to hand as he has others. But then another key problem is there was some confusion earlier in the year because the government wanted to change the voter registration list and make it so you have to have uploaded your PPS number to be able to vote. There was backlash over it because a lot of people were already on the list. They didn't have their PBS number. They didn't know if they had to upload it or not, and there's confusion. That's now been dropped. So a key point is we need to have more voter registration drives, but also encourage education in the student body about politics and economics, not with a biased pro one specific party over the other slant, but just to provide the information and let them make their own decisions. So once again, restoring the Financial Times subscription for every student so that they can read up and spend their own time educating themselves and learning about the topics and make their own view. Because I don't think any one person knows better than any other person. It's up to you to know the facts and then make an opinion based on your own worldview. So I'd say support them, make sure they're registered to vote, make sure they know what they're voting about, and then just let them go vote. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to see more engagement with local politics on this. Obviously, we do have voter drives going. The SU and the USI have held them. I'd like to see them more often. I'd like to see them bigger rather than just having one person stand in the corridor with you and hope people come by. I'd like to see more kind of involvement, get local politicians in here to speak to students about issues affecting students. I think we need to show that we are, again, going back to my points, we are an important part of the community. Our voice deserves to be heard. I'd like to see more work there. I think we should hold politicians more accountable. And I just want to I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the question overall. Could you just, kind of got the gist. But
It's just how to get students involved and encouraged to vote in elections inside, like as in a student union election, and outside of college.
yeah, exactly. So I'd just like to see more engagement. I'd like to see, again, the student union be more proactive rather than just telling people, sending an email, hoping they're going to do more in person, on the ground, get people involved, tell them what issues, where the parties stand on issues, inform them about the elections and positions, and just better education, better kind of push for voter registration, what have you, better engagement with local politics and national politics.
Great, thank you. Cormac and Brandon are two of our VPs for Community and Citizenship. They're both politics students. Cormac is a final year economics, politics and law student, and Brandon is a master's in political communication student. Again, all students are eligible to vote for all of our full-time positions. So to give you a little bit of an idea around what the role of Vice President for Community and Citizenship involves, they effectively promote leadership and volunteering opportunities on campus. So if you're involved in club or society life, they are the Vice President that typically would represent you and make sure that they can create a really vibrant experience for you here and make sure that you love your time while attending university here in DCU. As well, they will look at you as members of the community. So if you run into any issues with your accommodation, they're the person that you will go to for help. The environment, sustainability issues, road safety, and even both of the candidates touched on it this evening, which is looking at registering to vote in any of the upcoming local and national elections. So we're going to move on to our roles of Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion. We have 4 candidates for VP for Diversity and Inclusion, and to give you a little bit of an idea about what the role of D&I involves, it's about making sure that DCU is a university that is as accessible and inclusive for everybody here. They fight to make sure that your time in DCU is fair. They look after the needs of all students across the university, whether that is mature students, if you're a parent, if you're an access student, if you're a commuter student, an international student, a postgrad student, a part-time learner. They're the spokesperson for you in the university. They're the people who are going to be at those meetings with senior management, making sure that your voice is heard and that you are represented across the university. We have 4 candidates for the Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion. That is Alishir Ahmed, Aisha Halfoui, CC Quigley and Matthew Patrick Sharkey. What we're going to do is each candidate will have 3 minutes to speak before they'll be passed over to the interview team for them to ask them a couple of questions. So we're going to kick off with Alishir, and you will have 3 minutes to speak whenever you're ready. Oh, actually, I'm wrong. What we're going to move over is to Matthew first. Matthew, you will have 3 minutes to speak whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will project so you can hear me in the microphone. So hello, my name is Matthew Patrick Sharkey, and I'm one of your candidates for VP for Diversity and Inclusion. I am currently a final year multimedia student, and during my time in DCU, I've been the Inclusions Officer of DCU LGBTA in 2022. I am currently the PRO of DCU Neurodivergent Society and the Secretary of DCU Creative Writing Society. I completed my Leaving Cert Applied in 2020 from a deaf school and also pursued a PLC and film and TV production. And as a member of the LGBTQ community and someone with a disability, specifically in a wheelchair, I have extensive knowledge of the unique challenges these students face and how DCU can improve in these areas. If elected, I hope to expand Disability Awareness Week by adding a silent disco and disability club night. I also want to continue the Neurodivergent Literary Festival that Sam, the current VP, has established. I want to establish more multicultural weeks and more SU events on St. Pat's and All Hallows, specifically during the day to accommodate commuter students. I want to improve the accessibility of all campuses, which is replacing the card scanners that are used for wheelchair doors with actual buttons, consistent and ongoing maintenance of the lifts in the U specifically and across campuses, as sometimes they are broke and the States doesn't let students know. I want to regulate the use of loud music in the venue, in the U. Wheelchair seating in the venue, as there currently isn't any seating for wheelchairs in the venue unless the chairs are put away. I also want to establish quiet spaces at all SU events to accommodate students with sensory processing disorders and other disabilities. I want to continue the sign language classes and specifically start them in semester 1. I want to provide more funding to celebrate different cultural events such as Ramadan, Diwali, Hanukkah, Lunar New Year, Winter Solstice, and many more that are in DCU. I want the SU to advertise services provided by societies such as the Tea Fund and the Access Society Swap Shop. I want to advise the SLC on an update of the accessibility policy. I want to create mixer events for languages spoken in DCU in collaborations with societies and DCU schools relating to each language. Lastly, I want to establish an Erasmus and International Student Panel to ensure these students have equal opportunities while in DCU. I aim to use the knowledge I've acquired over the years and actively seek feedback from students, particularly groups of students I am not a part of, and I hope to make DCU a more diverse and inclusive institution for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matthew. We're now going to pass over to your second candidate for diversity and inclusion, and that is Alisher. You will also have 3 minutes to speak when you're ready. Thank you.
All right, perfect. How are you? My name is Alisher. I'm 22. I'm doing my second year of law, taking the scenic route. I've come in here off a PLC myself as well, so I'm entirely aware of how terrifying it can be coming into university from a perspective that may not be what's seen as like the status quo or something that is more conventional. I myself am also neurodivergent, and as you can see, I am from a ethnic minority. In terms of what I'd like to do as diversity and inclusions officer, I'd like to have a big push on cultural societies and identity-related societies. I think that there's a lot done for them for the time being, but there's always more that can be done. Specifically, I want to assist current existing societies and societies that are in the process of getting set up, because it can be quite daunting opening up a new society when you have no real resources to actually go about and do it. I want to use my abilities and resources as D&I to give those students who want to step up and kind of represent themselves to have it as easy as possible for them. Furthermore, what I want to do is I want to commend the merit of existing societies and the amount of effort that goes into planning an event, getting everything sorted. Kind of gets brushed over, overlooked. We have Society of the Week going on right now, and I think that's perfectly fine. But there's just so much more that can be done, especially for cultural societies where you're putting yourself forward, a part of you, your identity. For that to be brushed aside, I don't think feels right to me, and I want more acknowledgement of the effort that goes in by these societies. Another aspect that I want to handle is the U building itself. It can be, sure, it's got nice music going on most times, but it's one of the loudest places on campus, and it can be really, really overwhelming for people who are neurodivergent. It's super easy to be sensory overloaded within the U building, and I think even doing something as small as turning down the music when it's quite busy would go miles for students who are neurodivergent. And I think it's just something that needs to be considered that isn't considered as much for the time being. And as D&I, I'd love to be able to do more of that. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Alisher. We're going to move on to our next candidate for Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion, and that is Cece. Cece, you will have 3 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Podge. Hi, I'm Cece. I'm sure as the third person running for it, you're all aware that the position I'm running for is Diversity and Inclusions Officer. And I suppose a bit about myself, I'm nearly a mature student. Oh God, that feels horrible to say. I am also neurodivergent. I have a chronic pain condition and I'm trans, so I hit the genetic lottery, some might say. But I suppose what's really made me want to run for this position is a lot of life experience of being in a couple of different minorities. I know what it's like to kind of walk along on your own and not be sure if there's anyone out there that really cares. And I suppose I want to be that person, especially for new students coming in or for students that are underrepresented, to show them that there is a whole community and support system of people that care about their needs, their wants, and that there are supports out there for them. Particularly when I talk about those minorities, I mean the people who are of an ethnic minority background. The Muslim community can be heavily underrepresented in this university. In fact, they only have one place where they can access a bathroom for each gender, that is the Interfaith Centre. So I really want to work on getting that fixed and build atop the wonderful work the current DNI SAM has done on that. I really want to continue our celebrations such as Rainbow Week, Diwali, Hanukkah, and the wonderful things that we do in the university for those things. I really want to get more gender neutral bathrooms up and running, because as a trans person, I have a moment of panic when I go to use the bathroom, because I tend to ride the line between looking like a woman or a man, so no matter which one I go into, I look like I'm going into the wrong one. So a gender neutral bathroom, and also I think it's important to remember that all people who are trans aren't somewhere on the binary. A lot of people are outside of the binary, and they deserve to be represented just as much when they're going to the bathroom. Like my competitors here, like my fellow competitors, I do want to work closely with different societies that reflect minorities and that include them, because I think it's incredible work that's done on a very tight budget, and I want to know as DNI how I could help with that. Thank you for listening to my little spiel.
Right. Thank you very much, Cece. We're now going to pass over to the MPS media panel, who will ask you a couple of questions. Again, you will have up to 1 minute to answer each question.
Hi. So, starting with Patrick first, I'd like to ask what inclusivity means to you, whether it be through societies, through peer-on-peer interaction, through making connections through different campuses. Just kind of what has your experience been so far?
So far, like, inclusion is very important to me. It's one of the things I really stand for. I started off in DCU being in society life. That was really hard for me, as at that time a lot of events run by societies weren't really accessible for me. I've had that problem over the years. That's why I want to advise the SLC and update the accessibility policy to make sure all students are included in that. But also, inclusion means that no matter who you are or what you stand for, that there is somewhere in DCU where you belong, or somewhere you can hang out, whether that be the Interfaith Centre, the U building. And I just want to make everyone have the best time they can in DCU, because being a student is very stressful. And when you add being a minority on top of that, or having chronic pain, or being in a wheelchair, it kind of stacks up. And I want to be there to provide inclusion for everyone, so they all feel comfortable in their journey in DCU. And thank you very much.
Going to use a very big keyword for this one, that being equity. I think inclusion as a whole is to further embrace equity, giving everyone the same opportunities, or getting them onto the same playing field. In terms of just any sort of aspect, I feel like equity is so important, and I think that anyone from any walk of life deserves to have the same opportunities that everybody else has. And I think that it's the core of what being diversity and inclusions officer actually is.
I suppose for me, inclusivity means accessibility in a huge way. It means despite people having a range of differences or conditions or disabilities, them being afforded the same opportunities, be that to an education, a social life, a night out with friends, a night in with friends, even just chilling on the second floor of the U, which can be incredibly hard for some students. I think all of those things need to be accessible for everyone, for people to be included.
Thank you very much for that. I'd like to ask you, the introduction of new purpose-built facilities, such as the quiet spaces, have been very helpful for neurodivergent students. Would you plan on having more of them across campus, and maybe having more be built on a campus like St. Pat's? And I'll ask Cece that question first.
Yeah, I think that's a massive idea, and actually one that I forgot to speak about in my little speech there a few minutes ago. Yeah, I think that we absolutely do need more purpose-built quiet spaces, and possibly even in the future, long-term thinking, more sensory pods about the campuses, because I know on Glasnevin we have one purpose-built sensory pod that people who are disabled can access up in the library. But oftentimes, as someone who can access that, there's someone else in it because there's only one. And the same thing goes for the quiet spaces, which are very heavily populated, especially the new one in the Henry Grattan building. And we definitely need to represent other campuses with that same accessibility before we look at adding more onto our own campus. But yeah, I think that's an incredibly important thing that we need to work towards.
I feel like... Wait, could you repeat the question?
Yes. So the introduction of facilities such as quiet spaces have been very positive for neurodivergent students. Would you try and make it possible to have them expanded across campus and also introduced to a campus like St. Pat's as well?
I would agree with the idea that it's effective and that it is very helpful for people who are neurodivergent, but the lack of facilities that we have for the time being makes it very cumbersome. Like the quiet area we have now, that's built up in the Henry Grattan there, it's constantly swarmed. There'll be like 6 or 7 people there at a time, and it's hard to actually maintain an area that is properly quiet. I feel like you need significantly more facilities for like areas where it can be quiet and you can actually have that peace of mind and not feel overwhelmed by like the buzz of campus. And I think that there needs to be a lot more effort done in terms of making these spaces across both Pat's and Glasnevin itself.
So for me, these quiet spaces are extremely important for neurodivergent students. As somebody in the Neurodivergent Society, we worked with DCU Autism Friendly. They're the ones that help us run some of our events. They do an amazing job on campus, and they're actively trying to get more quiet spaces. But the problem that we have at the moment is that there's sensory pods in both libraries, one on Pat's, one on Glasnevin, but you have to have a diagnosis to access them. You need to be registered with the Disability Service, and nowadays it's extremely hard to get diagnosed, and it takes a lot of money and a lot of time. So students that come here might feel overwhelmed and there's not really anywhere to go. The quiet space that's located in the Henry Grattan is extremely small and can have at max 5 or 6 people. I can't access it. It's not accessible for me. The room is too small. So my goal is to get more quiet spaces that are accessible for all students, because for me, when I get overwhelmed, there isn't really anywhere to go because none of the quiet spaces I can get my wheelchair into. And I think a lot of students have that problem where they can't find a sensory pod to use.
Great, perfect. Thank you very much, Matthew. That is all that you'll hear from our Vice Presidents for Diversity and Inclusion this evening. Again, we have 4 candidates who are running for the position. That is Alice Shear, Ahmed, Aisha Hafui, CC Quigley and Matthew Patrick Sharkey. To give you again a little bit of information about what the role of Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion is all about, as you could hear from our candidates this evening, a big focus was on about making DCU a fair and accessible environment and campus for all students, so that nobody is disadvantaged when they come onto campus and that everybody has equal and an equitable opportunity when it comes to their education. As well, they represent a broad range of students, including those who have access needs and mature students and parents, commuter students and international students. Next week, you'll have the opportunity to vote for them from Tuesday at 6 a.m. until Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. We're now going to move on to our candidates for VP and Wellbeing. We have one candidate for our Vice President of Wellbeing, and that is Anubhav Anand. Anubhav, you will also have 3 minutes to speak, so whenever you're ready.
Hi guys, hello everyone. A very good evening to all of you. So my name is Anubhav and I'm an international student here at DCU. So I am studying Masters in Computing and I'm running this time for the election of VP Wellbeing. So the most important thing in a student life is the well-being and the health. So what my aim and my main motive for running in this election is to promote 3 health factors. So here they are. So I would like to work and I would like to increase the knowledge and the implementation of the mental health and sexual health along with physical health. So these 3 things are the most important thing because you know in a student lives we go day to day with a lot of stress and be it stress from relationships or from exams or from our assignments. So the stress is everywhere. But then how I'm aiming to do this is like for the mental health, I'm trying to like plan for a thing where all the professors or all the faculties can have a common portal where they could see the deadlines for each and every other subject. So what this would help in as if like there would not be many multiple deadlines on the same day because we have seen students struggling a lot in order to complete the assignments and then they have faced a lot of issues. For the physical health, I would like to collaborate with our DCU Sports Center and I would like to collaborate with the gym facilities and maybe I'm aiming to get some events so that they can have a lot more information spread in our campuses across Glasnevin and as well as St. Patrick's so that more students come and join these fitness activity centers. And the most important one is the sexual health because we don't understand its importance and its necessity, but at this point of time, I think it is really important for all of us to understand its importance. So yeah, and the last thing which I'm thinking is that is one of the most important thing for me is like being open for the students' feedback because whatever plans or goals that I may have, it's just through my mind, it's all one-sided. So the best plans or the agenda will come from you. So I'm open to the feedbacks and what all you have to say so that we can implement that. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Anubhav. Anubhav is our only candidate for the Vice President of Wellbeing, and we're going to pass over to the DCU MPS Media panel who will ask you a couple of questions now, and you will have 1 minute to answer.
First of all, I just want to say thanks very much for speaking. You made some great points there. One that I really honed in on was your point about the gym. Especially in the past few years now, it's been kind of the general consensus is that mental health is very interconnected with your physical health. And in the past few years, the previous candidates for your position had made points about the gym as well. How would you go about achieving this, say a free or a discounted gym membership for the students at DCU?
Yeah, so like we are seeing this, you know, in the DCU Student Union website, we see like they post a story or a picture and they say like if they would select 5 people and they would give the free gym membership. So if the thing that is working is good, what I wish to do is like I would ask the gym persons to, you know, like keep an open day so that the people could come in, walk in, because most of the people want to look good, want to look fit, but then we don't know how to start. So maybe we can arrange an open day where maybe the gym instructor or the fitness trainer could just introduce them to the equipments and just tell them the importance within 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So yeah, I think 1 session per month would be enough to spread the news and the knowledge. Yeah.
And a huge area of concern with students in DCU is mental health and expanding the services for the counselling. So with the current wait list for counselling, is there anything you'd like to do to tackle that issue?
Yeah, so like as I was also the postgraduate officer, so I know that we have a lot of wait time for the counseling services because students are coming up in numbers and we don't have enough slots for them. But then yeah, DCU is working to get some more funds because this comes with a lot of cost. So I would like to talk with the management team and get the things escalated, because again I would like to share the knowledge and the importance of this with the higher authority and the management team so that they can escalate the process and figure out a solution very soon. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you very much, Anubhav. Anubhav is the only candidate for Vice President of Wellbeing. So if successfully elected next week, he will be responsible for making sure that you can access all of the help and support that you need in DCU, and will really work alongside the university to improve your health and wellbeing on campus and off campus. We will now move on to our Vice President for Academic Life. So they're really concerned about everything that's happening inside a classroom, including looking at your placement and your intra and making sure that your curriculum is designed the way it should be, and that you're accessing all of the information for you to leave DCU with a really high quality degree. We have 3 candidates running for the position of Vice President for Academic Life. That is Ishan Joshi, Pranshu Mangal and Patricia Montez Torres. At the moment this evening you will hear from Pranshu. Pranshu will have 3 minutes to speak, and then we'll pass over again to the MPS media team to ask him a couple of questions. So Pranshu, your 3 minutes will commence whenever you're ready.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm deeply honored to be here for the position of VP Academic Life. So first I would like to display my background over the years which I have worked with. So back in India I was working with few multinational organization, and in my last organization I was working as a tech lead of a research and development team. So from there I got the experience of leading and how to implement some solution for the whole team. When I come to DCU, I successfully elected as a class rep and CRC secretary. So there I got to know that the problems which students are facing and my classmates are facing the problems, and how I can approach the problem. So I always have that psychology, to go into the problem and find the best possible solution for that. As a class rep, I have been coming across with a lot of concerns from the student regarding the academic life. It includes timetable management, it includes the assignment things. So from the technical side, I always believe that there should be some technical solution for a problem. Okay, as I'm saying that I talk about innovation and automation. So there should be some way to automate all the things which can definitely improve the academic life. That's the reason that I'm planning to set up a global service help desk to submit the queries by the students, and the rest of the students can answer the question there. So this is going to my major plan of action if I get selected for this position. Secondly, I'm seeing that as an international student, as I was applying for this course, there was a little kind of information available on the website. Okay, so this kind of thing can be slightly improved basically, so other students cannot face this kind of situation in the future. Last but not least, I'm really excited to leverage my skill set and my leadership qualities for this role, which can definitely take the academic life of this university in a positive way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pranshu. We'll now pass over to the MPS media panel to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
Brilliant, thank you so much for that. I suppose a hot topic last year in the student elections was that of student fees. And you mentioned that you believe there's always a solution and you're a very technical individual. So I suppose what further improvements do you think need to be made, and how will you go about doing so to help students?
Okay, so this is actually a very good question, and there already one solution for that loop, but I think there is a lot of things can be improved in the loop. Like I was talking about the concerns which students are raising directly to me. So if they have a certain thing or certain portal for that, they don't need to go and wait for me to answer the question. So on the portal itself, everyone can answer the questions. So it would be slightly improved, and technology will play a big role there.
Brilliant, thank you so much.
And I'm a class rep, but I can't say I've had much interaction with my faculty reps. So how would you, as Vice President of Academics, maintain a clear and aware link between yourselves, the faculty reps, and the class reps?
Okay, so we may form some application kind of thing where all the students reps and faculties can interact with each other according to their availability and time slot, and class rep they don't have to wait for the faculties. It would be purely technical, so whenever they are available, it will give some notification kind of thing to them, so accordingly they can set up and talk to them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Pranshu. Again, Pranshu is one of 3 candidates running for the position of Vice President for Academic Life. So the 3 candidates again are Ishan Joshi, Pranshu Manchad and Patricia Montez Torres. We're now going to move on to our final set of candidates for this evening, and that is our candidates for President. We have 3 candidates in President in total. That is Saeed Hussein Abbas, Angelina Foley and Carl Ormsby. Unfortunately, Saeed couldn't make it this evening, but you will have an opportunity to meet with them across campus over the coming days to see why you should vote for them for President. But in the meantime, you will hear from Angelina and Carl this evening. Each will have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll kick off with Angelina first. So Angelina, whenever you're ready, your 3 minutes will begin.
Perfect, thank you, Pod. I'm Angelina. I'm a final year chemical and pharmaceutical science student. Over the last 4 years, I have been a class rep every year. I've been involved in numerous committees, and this year I had the chance to be the chairperson of the Club's Life Committee. I decided to put myself forward for president because in the 4 years that I've been here, not a single woman has been elected nor has ran for this position, and I wanted to be able to give us women that chance, that say, and get us back out there in the union. One of the biggest things I hear about as a class rep is the lack of spaces for students to sit in. So I want to open up more for that, and I do believe it's attainable because there was a survey done in the last few months across all campuses where they went around and counted how many people were using each classroom, and I want to use that information to find a room in each building that could be used as a relaxation room for students to have a quiet space to relax in between lectures. If you have a 9 a.m. and then you don't have class until 3 p.m, you're just hanging around campus and you don't really have anywhere to go except for the library, which is always packed, and you don't have a space to just chill out. I want every student. I'm a big advocate for students having their say, and with the upcoming elections, with the student union and the general elections, I want all DCU students to be able to have their say. In the previous general elections in 2019, only 50% of people aged 15 to 25 voted, and I want every student in DCU to be registered and have their say, so that they know that they've had their say and they can take it as they will. I want to run information nights for students to get the ideas and the policies that these political parties want to implement, so they know who they're voting for and why they're running for it. I want to run lots of more alcohol-free based events across campuses. I personally don't drink, and I know a lot more students are coming in and don't drink because cost of living, they can't really afford to be going out every night. So I want to be able to implement silent discos, bingo nights, or movie nights, just so students can have a chance to get out there and socialise. Sorry, I'm being told to wrap up, but I just don't really want to be there for the students. So our door is always open, and I want to run a bi-weekly forum for students to come and talk to me. We'll have tea and coffee, and we'll talk to each other, and you tell me all your problems, and I'll be there for you. And very briefly, I'm not looking at notes. I'm looking at a picture of my dog, who I'll bring to college to work with me if I am elected, and you are more than welcome to come and see him any day. Sorry.
Great, thank you very much, Angelina. We'll now pass over to Carl, who will also have 3 minutes to speak. So Carl, whenever you're ready.
Hiya, I'm Carl Ormsby. I am a final year multimedia student. A fact about me is I am obsessed with my dog as well. So no matter who gets elected, you will have a dog on campus. So I want to implement 3 tenets of DCUSU that I feel should actually be implemented into all decision making. So the first one would be inclusion. So that would be including people from all 3 campuses, all ethnicities, backgrounds, he, she, theys, anyone in between. I want to give opportunities to actually feel like a part of DCU. There is a lot of chances I feel like DCU is missing to host events across different campuses. And a big thing is that even just a simple workshop or once a week watching a culturally significant film and like having events or culture weeks, like things like that, to let people know that they're seen and they're welcome, especially with a lot of what's going on currently with a lot of people writing over some of just like, it's not fair to students to have to come here if they are coming here from anywhere really, like Erasmus or mature students or any ethnicity or background, to feel unwelcome. And I want to make sure that DCU is a space they're welcome to be in and they are seen and they are heard. The second one I want to implement is accountability. So I want to make sure that I use the platform that I am given to hold people accountable, whether it be myself, the students, the government, the DCU, the SU, USI. I want to give chances for students to give feedback. I want to have a forum open as well. After every event, I want to send out surveys saying what we did right and what we did wrong. I want to be able to tell students what they are doing wrong by building the trust that if they can tell me what they don't like about my behaviour, I will be able to tell them. So just even simple stuff like not to litter or be rude or disrespectful to DCU staff. Like, I feel like respect is a two-way street, and having the accountability and showing that to students is the first step to building that. The last one I want to add is rediscovery. So there are 3 campuses. There's a lot of history across the 3 campuses, and there's a lot of events and social spaces and just ideas that DCU SEOs have over the years. And with the backing of having the opinions of what people enjoyed and didn't enjoy, I feel like I can implement things from the past, such as even like Live at the Lawn or the mezzanine, the space above the canteen that used to be a social space for students. Like, I want to, even just changing YOLO back to Shite Night. It's like things like that where it's looking through the history of DCU, SU, and actually finding ways to do what students have actually wanted instead of what the SU thinks they want. And that's it. Oh, and if you're wondering why inclusion, accountability, and rediscovery, it spells out IAR, which sounds like yar, like a pirate. So you'll see a lot of that over the week. Just accept it.
Great. Thanks very much, Carl. We'll now pass over to the MPS Student Media panel, who are going to ask each of our candidates for president a couple of questions.
So one of the biggest responsibilities of the SU president is to improve the student accommodation situation at the moment. How do you intend to help students struggling with the lack of housing and rising rent prices, especially with the lack of government support?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things in my mind is that I want to reach out to student accommodations nearby DCU, like Aspen and Gateway, and I want to see if they will do a discount for DCU students so that they don't have to pay the extortionate fees that they're there. There are the extra housing coming in, so I'm hoping because they're coming in, they might balance. I'll be in contact with the accommodation committee, whoever they are, and try and see if they can spread out the cost so that the students that are currently in the accommodation and students coming in, they don't have to pay extortionate rents just because they're putting themselves in a new building that we need. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. I also want to reach out to current students that may have spare bedrooms and are willing to rent it out or even let people stay there for free to help them with that.
So one of the things that I'm trying to do across my whole campaign, and if I do get elected, is a lot of promotion. I want to use my degree in media to promote all of the supports that are available to students. One of the supports that the SU provides to students is DCU Student Pad. It's a website where people can advertise digs and spare rooms they have, and I really want to make sure that all students have the opportunity to both advertise their spaces and also find spaces to be, because these spaces are vetted, the prices are ran like to an adequate level. Like, it's making sure that students have safe, affordable places that have been approved by DCU staff, and I will be liaising with the CNC, whoever gets elected for that, and I will make sure to actually put in the supports so that people aren't commuting or paying crazy rent just to come in for an hour a day.
Amazing, thank you. And I know, Angelina, you touched on it slightly in regards to the general election, but actually from our own research last year surrounding the election process in DCU, we found that a lot of students did not know how the process works, how to vote, or how to really find any relevant information. I suppose we're coming up to the end of this today. If you could give one thing or say one thing to students who are not sure how politics in DCU works and encouraging them to use their voices, what would you say to them?
I would just say, like, if you see anyone that's campaigning, or you know where the Students' Union office is, we're not scary people. Just come up and talk to us and ask us a question. Or if you're not confident coming up to people, if you email, like, we will absolutely answer. That's something simple like that. And I plan on recording a video on how to vote on Loop so that students know what to do, because sometimes when I was in first year I didn't know where on the Loop page anything was, and it was a stress. I know some students aren't comfortable doing that, and I think it'd be great if they could take the 5 minutes in the day to go through their Loop and see where all this is. Or go onto the lead.dcusu page and they can read all about it there. And if they have any questions, please reach out. Like, the best way to get information is if you talk to someone. So that's how I would recommend students.
So I think one thing I would do is to get people to evaluate the effect it will actually have on them, because I feel like a lot of people will just think that the VPs and the president, like, that's just nights out or super little events. But I think, once again, we're promoting what we actually do, like what can we support you with. And even if it's a thing of you feel that, oh, I don't really feel like I'm involved much with the SU, I don't really think this matters much to me personally, then think about your friends, think about your course mates, think about the people around you. Even if it isn't something that directly relates to you, it is affecting those around you. And I genuinely feel like if you do want to see, like, your student union as a whole grow and the union students have grow, I feel like it is important to vote. And any questions you may have about anything we do for students, we'll be happy to tell you.
Thanks so much.
No worries.
Brilliant. Thanks to both of our candidates for President, Angelina Foley and Carl Ormsby. There are 2 of 3 of your candidates for President. The third candidate is a business school student, Saeed Hussein Abbas. That is all that we have for you this evening. What you will see from tomorrow around lunchtime, you'll see all of our candidates out and about, hoping to talk to you and tell you all of the reasons why they think they're the best candidates for the role. Again, voting is taking place next Tuesday from 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. on Wednesday, and you can vote through your Loop page. We will be emailing you instructions on how to do that, and every single student in the entire university is eligible to vote in our Students' Union elections. And just finally, before we finish up, obviously congratulations to all of the candidates who are putting themselves forward and really want to make a difference to DCU students. It's not an easy task to put yourself forward, and I think it's really, really impressive to see that vibrancy still in DCU. As well, on behalf of the Students' Union and the DCU Student Life team, I really like to give a very warm thanks to the Media Production Society, who have basically just made it very comfortable for candidates and myself here, and have done all of the heavy lifting and all of the work behind the scenes. You can't see what I see, but it's a huge amount of work, and we couldn't have done it without them. So thank you very much for that, and that is all we have for you now.